Why Socialism Can't Calculate, Misses Economic Calculation Problem. Welcome back to another episode of Spin Cycle America, where we talk about what is happening in the world around us. I'm your host, Todd. I want to interject a little advertisement here, though, before we get started. This weekend, on the 4th of July, I will be having a YouTube special all dedicated to America. So you don't want to miss it. So please tune in to Spin Cycle America for my 4th of July special. But today we are going to go ahead and continue with our series on socialism. So let's get at it. Welcome back to episode 3 of our series on the negative side of socialism. We've covered the basics on Venezuela's collapse, and today we are going to hit the fundamental reasons for these failures and why they keep happening. It's not bad leaders, not necessarily. It might be a little bit, but for the most part, no, it's not. It's a deep economic problem at socialism's core, and core that even the smartest central planners can't solve. It's called the economic calculation problem. First explained clearly by Ludwig von Mises in 1920. It predicted the disasters we've seen. So the disasters that you're seeing right now in socialism, the problems. So the problem explained simply this way: imagine you're in charge of an entire economy. You have millions of resources: steel, oil, labor, land, factories. But now, how do you decide what to produce? How much? And where to send it? In a free market, prices do the work for you. Prices tell you what people value and how scarce things are. So basically, where to send it. They tell you for like the how price for lumber, what people want. People want more houses, or it's simply in short supply. So producers will produce less or more, depending on what the market is telling you to do. A low price, move resources elsewhere. Pretty simple, right? Socialism is completely different. Removes private property and real markets for the means of the production. Factories and resources are owned by the state. So there's no genuine prices, only government orders and internal accounting numbers that don't reflect real consumer wants or costs. So the government is telling you, well, I think we need this much of this product built or produced, so we're going to go ahead and produce this much. It could be enough, or it may not be. It may be too much, or it may be not enough. That's pretty much how it is. Without prices, planners are flying blind. They can't know the most efficient way to use the resources. They don't know where it's going from. They don't know what they're going to use it for. Should steel go to the cars, bridges, or hospitals? Which use is most valuable for the people or to the people? Which can be most effective? Mrs. provided the market rational economic calculation impossible. So basically it's in that way that they're doing it, or the reason that socialism was failing was because calculation was impossible. At socialism's core lies the economic calculation problem, which argues that central planners cannot rationally allocate resources without a market price system. So if you don't know how much something's costing, you don't know the price, you don't know where to send your resources. Without private ownership of the means of production, there are no market-driven prices to reflect supply and demand, leading an insufficient shortages, or lack of innovation. Wow, check that out, huh? So, real world consequences. So, this isn't abstract theory. It explains chronic shortages, for example, in the Soviet Union, stores emptied while warehouses had strong goods. Wow. Check that out. So the warehouses were full, but the stores were empty because they didn't know where to send the goods. They didn't know where to send stuff. Venezuela misallocated oil wealth and collapsed production. Why socialist economies lag in innovation and growth, roughly 2% percentage points lower per year in studies. So it kept dropping 2 percentage points every year. Planners tried workarounds, 5-year plan, quota computers, but they never have dispersed knowledge that millions of buyers and sellers create every day through voluntary trades. Frederick Hayek called this the knowledge problem. Well, there's a common sense, huh? Knowledge problem. People don't know what they're talking about. Even the supercomputers today, the issue remains prices come from human choices, not algorithms alone. People drive up prices. People drop prices. People tell you what the prices need to be. They set the market, not algorithms. Socialism, we are about to see this fall short and play out in New York City. Pay attention to this system very carefully and very closely. Watch it in New York. It's playing out right now as we speak. Why this matters for modern debates? Today, some politicians want more government control over healthcare, energy, housing, or even broader industries. Every step towards central planning runs into the same calculation wall. You end up with efficiency, waste, higher cost, and lower living standards. America's strength is decentralized decision making. Individuals and businesses responding to real prices and incentives. So America is very innovative. Okay, we can't rely on somebody else to tell us what to do. If we have our government taking steps and telling us what to do, we are going to crash. This is one of the core features and major sources of its problem. Here's a clear explanation that happens. Okay, so here's the problem. Socialism means bigger government. And if I remember correctly, and I know I'm not the only one out there, but I know the Republicans want smaller government. The Democrats want larger government. So this is why you're seeing this push for democratic socialism. Okay, so core mechanisms: socialism transfer ownership and decision making over the economy, which means production, from private individuals and businesses to the state or the people. In practice, government bureaucrats and planners. This can't happen without massive expansion of government power. Regulators, planners, state-owned entrepreneur enterprises, and enforcement agencies, redistribution bureaucrats. So the scope: government doesn't just build roads and run police. It runs factories, farms, energy, healthcare, housing, transportation, and decides production priorities. Now I'm going to ask this question. Is that what you want your government to do? Do you want your government to think for you? If you do, then go to South America or go to some other country that has socialism government, because that's what they do. They do your thinking for you. Price control, wage setting, allocation of resources, and constant intervention becomes necessary. They're always in charge. So here's some historical evidence. So if you think I'm just like pulling stuff out of the air and just like throwing this out there, I'm not. Okay, I'm doing my research. I'm checking up on things. So the USSR, enormous state apparatus, central planning committees, secret police was used to enforce quotas, state ownership of nearly everything. I'm going to say that again. State ownership of nearly everything. Venezuela expanded government dramatically through naturalizations and control, leading to corruption and efficiency. So here's where I'm talking about. So even democratic socialism, which you see forming up in New York right now, involve far larger government roles in the economy than U.S. levels, higher taxes, more regulations, and public ownership of key sections or sectors. Okay, so you're going to see higher taxes coming there. You already see that now getting ready to form in the city of New York. Okay, they're already looking at one population group to start taxing them just because they have more money than the other population group. Okay, so you're going to start seeing that. Quote me if I'm wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, but you already see it. Comparison: limited government, capitalism. So government handles public schools, defense, courts, basic infrastructures, but leaves most economic decisions to the market. That's what we want. Smaller government, limited government. Tell the government, keep your hands off of things. Socialism. The government becomes the central economic actors. This leads to the calculation problems because one big entity tries to manage what millions of people do better through prices and incentives. So if you leave things to the people, they can handle it a little bit better than one large government. We've been trying for years to get a smaller government. So in conclusion, the economic calculation problem is socialism is a fatal flaw. Good intentions can't overcome missing information and bad incentives. So in future episodes, we'll look at more historical cases and personal stories. What part of this episode surprised you the most? Comment below. Should we cover the Soviet Union next or something else? Subscribe, like, and share if the series is helping you cut through the noise and the fog so that you understand it. Thanks for watching day 3. See you next time on the next episode of Spin Cycle America, and you all have an outstanding day.